All right, cool. So we're here at Nonce, which is a co-living and co-working space in Korea, in Seoul. And thank you so much for having us. This is the founder, Young-un. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what was your vision for creating this amazing space where people can work,
Right.
but also live together
Right.
in such a mega city like Seoul.
First of all, thank you very much, Leah, and Evolving Caravan people for having me and then doing this interview. Such wonderful people, I guess. And then, yeah, it's great to do an interview, I think. This place is called Nuns, and this is the co-working and co-living space for people doing blockchain. So we do accommodate like blockchain developers, entrepreneurs, and researchers, and content creators.
Yeah.
We started this building last September, so it has been only 2 months up and running. So
And it already feels so at home, you know? It feels so established in its being, like as a space.
Right. Me and my co-founder, whose name is Sheehan, by the way, he has been a professional hip hop dancer for 13 years.
Yes.
I've studied math and computer science since I was like 10 and 13. So we're coming from completely different background. We started a YouTube channel called The Blockchainers, and then started telling people about and educating people on Bitcoin, what Bitcoin is, what blockchain is. And then starting from June last year, the Bitcoin price, as many people know, kind of got skyrocketed and people got more interested. They wanted to know more about what Bitcoin is. And there's no easy way to find materials about Bitcoin. So a lot of people contacted us. So we kind of like said to ourselves, why don't we live our life just like blockchain? That sounds really weird, but like blockchain is basically permissionless.
Yeah.
So anybody can join the network, anybody can validate the transactions, so anybody can trust the system.
So there's no like middleman in blockchain, right? So it's very
No.
democratic.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
It's directly like peer-to-peer system without explicit permission to be required. So we just invited everybody in a permissionless fashion. So that was a bit chaotic though, right?
Yeah, but that's great. So you translated that concept
Right.
to real life.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then we started from 2 people, right?
Yeah.
And then we experienced something very unique. Because we came from completely different background, I think I learned a lot from him. And my co-founder, Sheehan, he has learned a lot from me. So we kind of discovered this like the high level of synergy between 2 people. And then one of the concepts you kind of like think about is life sharing. So by sharing life, we kind of like gain a lot of things that we couldn't have like by ourselves.
Yeah.
So our whole purpose is like try to replicate the experience that I had with my co-founder to just as many as people possible. So you realize that something you've never imagined before, that with a lot of people with the same vision, same core values, they can do a lot of things together. They can actually change the world. I think
Yes.
that's what we want to do at Nonce.
Change the world.
Yeah, because like we
Love it.
sort of like our tagline for Nonce is like base camp for future rebels.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of problems to be solved in
this
modern life.
world.
Yeah.
So if you would be reading a history book in 10 years and there was a chapter about Nonce and how it changed the world, what would be your ideal vision? Like how would you want to change the world? What do
Right.
you want to achieve?
Yeah. We want to see the community as a core organizing principle of the city. So what that means is that if you just like, hey, it's a Seoul city, right?
Yeah.
If you look around, or it doesn't have to be Seoul. It's like any major cities, any major mega cities, right, around the world, New York, right? There are a lot of people living and working here,
Yes.
right? If you just like a lot of apartment.
Yeah.
But I think current form of the apartment is really dehumanizing. What that means is that the only criteria that puts people together these days is just like general income level.
Yeah.
So suppose, for example, if you're earning like something between like $5,000 to $7,000, you are probably in this type of apartment,
Yeah.
this type of area. Or if you're earning like more than that, you're more, I don't know, different area, right? And then people living in an apartment, well, in the same area, they don't necessarily know each other.
At all.
They don't necessarily share.
Very,
Yeah.
Very lonely sometimes in big cities, even though there's so many people, but
Right.
they don't really talk. That's true. Yeah.
So I think in some sort of like a computer scientific way,
Yeah.
we kind of like term that as like suboptimal clustering. So people who do not create synergy, like they are just living just nearby,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's like suboptimal. So what we believe in is that people should live by the criteria of like the values that they believe in or the core principles that they believe in.
But then I have a question for you.
Right.
So if you put all those people together, you know, like let's say a house full of artists that are expressionists or whatever, you know, I fully agree on like the synergy and like putting like-minded people together can create huge things.
Right.
But don't you also think that sometimes putting something like a person in there that's completely different and that has completely different values, isn't that also an approach to change the world? Because then like you said, like you and your partner are so different, and then you come together and you create something amazing together.
Yeah.
So I'm just like challenging you in that, saying like,
Right.
what if you would put someone together who doesn't know anything about Bitcoin,
Right.
but then is an artist, and then see what they would create together?
Right.
What do you think about that?
I think that's a really, really good point, because that's the second thing that we care about. We sometimes call it like inter-community connectivity.
Yeah.
So current problem with a lot of the communities, right, is that they don't normally talk to each other.
Exactly. We're here today as the Evolving Caravan,
Right.
And we explore entrepreneurship on a spiritual path, basically. So how do you connect Bitcoin with consciousness? Like, what's the connection that you see?
I think Bitcoin is not just about just purely, it doesn't deal with purely technical aspect of it. I think it's not just about cryptography, it's about economics as well. And it actually deals directly with on the human nature and the incentive, right? So there's a lot of like behavior economics or game theoretic element to it. So I think it's quite natural for us, if you're in the blockchain industry, to study deeply about human nature. How do we incentivize people? If you incentivize people in the wrong way, they might abuse the system, right?
Yeah.
How do you set the system where by interacting with the system, people can collectively be better? So in terms of that, I think it's not something software engineers can solve by themselves.
Yeah.
We need to actively collaborate with like other people who are deeply who are doing an in-depth study about human nature. So I think it's closely related to consciousness. You need to know what moves people, and in that way you can incentivize people to be better, I guess, to be collectively better. So only when we become like conscious of our desires, fully conscious of our desires, probably that's what we are going through.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from Evolving Caravan and
Yeah.
Gino, I guess, personally today. And I think that was a really good experience.
Yeah.
And yeah, it kind of,
First step.
yeah, awareness is the first step. I deeply agree with that, and I think that's the first step to understand better about the human nature. And I think it will translate it. I'm pretty sure that it will be translated into the better system design later.
Yeah.
So I think that's the connection between Bitcoin and consciousness, I guess.
So what are the 3 core values of Nonce, you would say?
We try to be a base camp for future rebels.
Yeah.
But how can you be a rebel, right? I think you need to have a emotional safety net to sort of like to take extreme risk to make our society better. Because like a lot of changes are being made by those like courageous people.
Yeah.
And then I really do believe that courage can be trained.
Oh, yeah.
You can train to be courageous. But how? I don't know. I think by love. Because like that's what my mom told me about. Because like my mom was always there when I kind of like, whether I failed, whether I succeeded, she was always there. So that's the power which makes me sort of like challenge sort of like the status quo and just like try to be better, just take some risk, because she's gonna be there for me at the end of the day.
Yeah, you have
So-
a safety net.
Right. So my job here is to sort of like replicate that at a scale of level to support other people who are trying to be a rebel.
Yeah.
and change the system
Big
for the
shout
better.
out to his mom, because she's definitely one of the reasons why this is here. And
Yeah.
that's lovely.
Right.
So you basically translated this unconditional love and the support to a business, which is beautiful.
I'm in the process of doing it.
Yeah.
I'm facing a lot of difficulties as I go, right? A lot of personal sort of like
Yeah.
difficulties.
So what have you learned so far in the past 2 months, just for yourself?
Yeah, I've learned it actually the biggest lesson today from you and from Evolving Caravan and from Gino. I think so. Thank you very much for coming to Nonce. What I've learned so far is that my life has been all about competition until now. So I was always like I always said to myself, like, we need to always strive for excellence and just like try to get better, be better every day. So I just truly believe that nothing's impossible, no matter what your background is. So I'll always have a tendency to like strive for excellence and then try to put pressure on other people to do that. And during the course, I kind of put too much unnecessary emotional sort of like pressure upon other people, which kind of generated backlash.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've personally learned so far is that because of Evolving Caravan is that people actually, the emotional factor is really important in terms of like growing the businesses.
Yeah.
Before this, I thought myself, like, doing great business is like just setting the vision right and then just keep doing it, right? Yeah, just overcoming hardship, right?
Yeah.
The emotion doesn't have a, before today, right? Emotion doesn't have a place in my sort of like strategy. But like, probably since today, I think I'm gonna consciously incorporate the element of emotion and just like consciousness into the strategy of our sort of like, of our organization or community in general. I think we need to take it intentionally and then make it explicit, I guess. So, that's the biggest lesson that I've loved
That's
I've learned.
a wonderful lesson to
Right.
learn. Because, you know, sometimes I feel like we live in such a competitive society that we're so caught up in the future.
Right.
You know, and the future's not here, and it's not gonna be. It's just one moment after the other.
Right.
You know, and every moment dies with the dawn of the next, basically.
Right.
So enjoying the moment and doing it with empathy and love
Right.
is very important, and I'm really glad that that's your answer to my question.
Yeah, it's just like, thanks. I mean, thanks for saying that.
No, thanks also for having us and seeing this amazing space and seeing such a great vision to actually change the world. And I can see that this is planting the seed, and I'm really excited to see what tree is gonna grow from that. So my last question is, how do you feel right now?
I feel really blessed because, and I feel I'm really lucky to have you guys here, and then I'm lucky doing blockchain because if it's not for blockchain, it might have not opened up my mind. So because of blockchain, I could meet a lot of great people like you, and so I feel great. And then we love to be connected more with the not only with the communities that we're doing in Korea, but with the other communities all over the world, and try to make the society better. I think because we got a lot of problems, big problems to solve, right? And
everywhere in the world.
I think it shouldn't be in a form of a traditional corporation sort of like type.
No, I agree.
I think the value captured should be distributed more equally to everybody, and then we need to set up a right incentive system, right regulation systems and everything. But like we got a lot of problems to solve. I think international collaboration is kind of like necessary for that. So feeling great. Love to be connected more, and trying to have an interesting discussion how to solve a lot of big problems and be more happy, I guess.
Right?
Yeah.
That is also important. So thank you so much for talking to us. If you guys are ever in Seoul, Korea, check out Nonce.
Right.
And you have a website that they can check out?
Yeah, if you go to like nonce.community, you can check out our website.
great.
It's not actually in a perfect form, but we're gonna probably make it better pretty
But there
soon.
it is again. It doesn't need to be perfect.
Yeah.
There.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people can see it.
Right. Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm trying to get rid of like perfectionism of some sort. Right?
I'm the same boat, believe me. I'm also the same way, but that's
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right?
If you come to Korea, just like let us know.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Cool.
Really.
Give me out. Thank you. Cool.